Good evening. First, I would like to do a quick check-in to see how everyone is doing today.
I'm doing well. I'm Deandra, everyone, and I'm doing well.
Hi, I'm Marquisha.
I'm doing good.
Well also.
Sorry, Marquisha. I'm Tempe. I'm doing good as well.
Marquisha?
Oh, I thought y'all heard me. Hi, I'm Marquisha, and I'm doing good as well.
Okay. I would like to thank you all for joining me this evening as we broach the subject of sex offender treatment. We will be talking about working with women who sexually abuse children. I lost everybody.
We're on here. Keep
Okay. The objectives for this, the learning outcome for the group is to identify the main issues related to sexual abuse of children by women and to be able to create a treatment plan that will help clients identify and correct cognitive distortions regarding herself and others. And I would like to say that normally when we think of sex offenders, we think of men as the offenders. But research has shown that women have been sexually abusing children as well. We're going to start the session out with a video, and then we're going to incorporate into it the article we had read. I had you all read prior to this class. Okay.
Are we supposed to be hearing something?
Can you see it?
I can see it, but I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, ladies. Did you all get the gist of the video? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Did everyone
Yeah.
see the video?
I did.
Yes,
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so after you read the article and after reviewing the video, sexual assault, sex, and after your review of the video, what are your thoughts?
I think we look at a lot of people in authority figure abuse children, especially teachers. It appeared on the video,
Yeah.
and parents.
Yeah.
And when I was reading the article when it was saying, and also looking at the video when it was saying that they go unnoticed because it's a low percentile, it made me think that maybe sometimes males don't report as much as, the abuse as much as females do.
Females do.
Yeah.
That's correct. Oftentimes, if you look closely at the article, it says that a lot of time the young men who are sexually abused by these women consider it as something big, a passion to right. You know how boys, they get being involved with the older woman, it makes them feel like a man. What I would like to maybe discuss why, other than the fact that boys feel that it's something big they're doing, or other reasons why that these ladies go unnoticed. So, what do you all think?
Because
Depending on
I think when it comes to the court systems, they kind of protect the woman because they feel that she's supposed to be the protector for the children. So if, they might send them the inpatient treatment and they don't have to register.
Okay.
I also think that along with that, we stereotype. Like, I know myself personally, if you look at a newspaper article and they show a man that's been arrested for sexually abusing a child, I've said to myself, oh, he looked like a pervert, or he looked like that. But like when you look at those women, they look, it's almost like you can't stereotype them because they just look like plain Jane normal women, everyday women that you pass. But it seems like something about the men makes you, with more stereotypical towards them, stereotype them.
Okay. Markeisha?
I was going to say that depending on the environment, that may be the norm.
Yes.
Because it's your mother and not,
Yeah, your culture.
that's the way mommy shows her, affection to little Johnny. You know what I mean? If he doesn't know any better, then how can he, say that this is wrong or it's not supposed to happen to me?
Yes. And often, like you said, the mother is nurturing, she's protective, she's non-aggressive.
Yeah.
And like you said, she's your protector. She's taking care of you. And like DeAndre had also said, women are normally not referred to the courts for their offense. A lot of time it's ignored. And Tippy had made the comment about the looks. She don't look like a sex offender. She looks like a teacher. She looks like a nurse. She looks like mommy. So those are things that relate to women not being prosecuted for their offenses. Okay, now we're going to talk about assessments for sex offenders. We're going to look at the risk, need, responsivity reduction principle. The risk, need, and responsivity, it relates to the reduction of sex offending. And as you noted in the article, it was saying that 1% of women sexually abused. And when we are making these assessments about women sex offenders, oftentimes we have to go on our knowledge as treatment providers. We have to rely more so on our work with the women in this field and working with one another and getting collaboration from our co-workers. When we look at the risk part of it, we look at two things. We look at how likely are they to reoffend, how high is the risk that they will reoffend, and what can we do to prevent the offender from reoffending. And we have to, when we look at risk, we have to match their level of service to their risk, which we often use whether it's a high, medium, or low risk that they are to offend. And in doing so, we incorporate in factors such as their dynamic factors. Do everyone know what static risk factors are? Ladies?
That doesn't change, right?
Yes, static risk factors doesn't change. That's who your family is. You can't change your family regardless. You can't change your past. Dynamic factors are things that you can change. And oftentimes it's changed through treatment, through education, like substance abuse. Y'all can throw out something else to me that you are dynamic factors. Your living conditions.
Your age,
your
environment
age,
sometimes.
yes, your age, your environment. Those are things that we can change. And our behaviors, we can change that. The people we associate with, we can change that. So when we look at our needs, those, oftentimes we look at the needs as things that feed our criminal behavior, our criminogenic needs. And they are fed by dynamic factors, things that we can change. And oftentimes when we target them in treatment, we come up with responsivity. And that once the risk has been identified and the need has been identified, then we should match the individual to the service and conduct interventions based on the individual's need. Do anyone have any questions?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
And, okay, and as treatment providers, we oftentimes rely on evidence-based practices. Do everyone know what evidence-based practices are?
Yes.
Things that have been proven to work.
Yes, things that have been proven to work. And as sex offender treatment providers, normally we use the cognitive behavioral approach. Change your thoughts, change your behavior. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
No.
So also when we're working with sex offenders, we look at their history. So, and that again goes back to dynamic factors. So when we are trying to complete a treatment plan for a individual, we have to look at not just only the factors that what brought them to treatment, but all the person as a whole. So that would include their addiction history, abuse, spousal abuse, domestic violence abuse, and sex abuse. So in order to work with an offender and make a treatment plan, we have to include in our treatment plan, like I said, the basic information about the individual, their age, their gender, their race, ethnicity. Who else can you, what else y'all think we need to include?
Their history, as far as like their childhood, or maybe like a psych eval or something, if they talk, discuss their history.
Yes. So what about their medical history? Do you think that would be relevant?
Yeah, medical history would be relevant. If they have a substance abuse history.
Yes, that would be important.
And their culture beliefs as well, because different things for different cultures as well.
Yes. And also, when we are looking at coming up with a plan for a sex offender or an individual in general, we have to look at what was happening prior to it, also like the motives. Why? The sex, was it emotional history? Was it power and control? Was it anger? Or what? And the willingness. And like that, oftentimes, DeAndre has said about substance abuse. Substance abuse does play a role in offending behavior sometimes. And then we look at opportunity. Was the behavior planned? Was it manipulative? Was it forced or whatever? And are those risk factors changeable that are linked to the offending behavior? And those are what we target in on. But another thing that I would like to say when we're making a plan on for treatment for sex offenders, that we have to get the client to buy into it, because you can make the best treatment plan in the world, but if the client does not have a say in it or does not believe in it, then it's highly unlikely they would do it. Any questions, comments? Okay, so we're going to look at working on a treatment plan for someone. The first thing we're going to do is clarify what the problem is. The problem is women who sexually offend children. What do we know? That in order for this plan to be successful, they have to buy into it. What are possible solutions? And then we're going to evaluate the solution. And when we look at the possible solutions, again, that's where the client lets you know what she can do or can't do. What is she open to doing or not open to doing? Like I said, if you make a plan and she's not open to it, then it defeats the purpose. Okay, now all our goals or learning outcomes should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. We have a case study we would like to go over. Okay, DeAndre, would you like to read that?
Sure. Sally was recently referred to our office for sex offender treatment. Sally, victim, is her 13-year-old nephew, whom she babysits. Sally has reported that she was sexually abused as a child. She has no significant relationship and suffers from low self-esteem. Sally has been arrested on several occasions for assault of a family member, possession of marijuana, and driving while intoxicated.
Okay, so what do we know about Sally?
She is a sex offender.
Yes.
She is being abused.
She has a history
and she has a possible substance abuse problem.
She has low self-esteem.
She has a criminal history.
Yes.
Possibly some antisocial personality.
Yes, that would tie into the arrest. So now we're going to look at what a treatment plan, what some of the things that you can include on a treatment plan. First, we have to look at the problem. And would you all like to identify a problem that we might could work on with Sally?
Low self-esteem.
Okay. And when we make this treatment plan, are we going to look at low self-esteem, substance abuse, or what?
Oh, I thought we addressed all the issues. I'm sorry. We can do the low self-esteem. Low self-esteem.
Okay. And so we're looking at Sally with low self-esteem. So can you identify a short-term goal, measurable, objective goal that she may will have?
Wake up in the morning and say something positive about herself.
Okay. What else can Sally do?
Her treatment provider could assign her to a therapy group session.
Yes. And when working with sex offenders, women or men, the norm is to put them in a group versus one-on-one treatment, because one-on-one treatment, it doesn't allow the client to get the one person perspective on treatment. And a lot of times, well, 98% of the time, people react better to their peers versus the therapist. Okay? All right, can we set another problem? Identify another problem?
She was abused as a child herself.
Yes, sexually abused as a child. That probably would go, that would, well, normally we would address that one-on-one. And then in a group setting, I would look at the substance abuse. How about that? Guys,
All right.
do you think that would work?
Yeah,
Yes, that's
good.
fine.
Yeah, and because by being in a group setting, you can get a lot of work covered, and the alcohol eliminating the alcohol and the marijuana out of Sally's life may improve her relationships with others. So you look at the substance abuse, and that'll help with a lot more than just the substance abuse, but it'll open up communication and relationships with Sally and her family. So you're looking at it to address more than just one thing.
And also when doing her low self-esteem, can you include her sexual abuse in that as well? Because that probably would be a contributing factor to her low self-esteem, is her sexual abuse.
Yes, but like with the, a lot of times it takes a little time. Like you said, that the sex abuse and the sex abuse and the low self-esteem does play a good part in it, and the alcoholism. All of that probably feed off of each other. In other words, this being sexually abused as a child links to the low self-esteem, links to the alcohol, marijuana abuse. Okay. Anything else you can think of? And another thing I wanted, before we say anything, I want to say that when we are making this plan, also we have to include her strengths, because she may be a very good receptionist. She may be a very good nurse. She may have a whole lot of positive things going on in her life. So you have to stroke her positive strengths as well as work on the things that brought her into treatment. Any comments?
That might help with her low self-esteem as well.
Yes. Markeisha?
And do you think, like, I know you said like being in a group setting helps, but with therapy, is it safe or okay to like include the dynamics of her family relationship? Because she abused her nephew. She also had been arrested for assault of a family member. She seemed to have a shaky relationship with her family, so maybe like trying to.
Yes, and that is a good question, Tip. Yes, we will work on what we call it a reunification. That is getting the family into therapy as well. And getting Sally at a place where she can talk openly to her family about what has been happening, and vice versa. So once the Sally is stable to a certain extent, then we bring in the family to complete the treatment process. You all have some good questions and comments. Anything else?
And
So,
also, I think we should be careful about, with Sally and her family, because, she only can participate in the reunification if the family is agreement to it. They may not have forgiven her yet.
yes, that is correct. So that's why we don't rush right out into and put Sally into treatment and into the reunification process of her treatment. We have to work on Sally first. Even though we're addressing Sally as a whole, the focus is on Sally. And she has to be in agreement with it, and the family has to be in agreement with it. So it's a process.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Markeisha.
How will it work if her family is the reason? Her family are the ones that sexually abuse her. How does that work?
Again,
will there be a reunification? Or?
Yes, that would be try to get a process where we would try to get Sally back into, but like I said, back into good trusting and accepting of her family. And it's up to Sally whether she wants to pursue this relationship or not. Just like it would be up to her sister and her nephew whether or not they reunite with Sally. So,
but even if she's not, even if like it may be difficult for those family members, the ones who would directly, either the family that may have directly abused her or her sister, her nephew, it might be beneficial even if she have another, like some support from other family, somebody that's not involved, to kind of help support her, not just the ones that were involved.
Yes, and reunification, it doesn't just have to be the ones that were affected by the offending behavior, but other family members. But if you think about it, her behavior affects not only her and the offender, but she got her mother, her sister, her brother-in-law, her nieces and nephews. It affects the whole family because of what she did. So normally, if for the family to reunite, it has to be worked out with the therapist and the family and Sally. So we're not going to force her into it to reconnect with her family. But if it happens, we'll be glad to let it happen. So do you all think you all will be able to complete a treatment plan?
I feel pretty confident I could complete one.
I do also.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you think if when you're making your evaluation, Tippy, you say you think you could too?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because this treatment plan, it doesn't just stop as, because Tippy, you and Markeisha are nurses and Deanna, you a counselor. It doesn't just, you can use this treatment plan not only for sex offenders, but you can use it when you're working with your clients and your nurses in the doctor's office as well. So you have to be sure you are aware of their level of offending, their risk, whether they're high risk, medium risk, or low. You have to consider their needs. What does they get from the offending behavior? What can you do to change their behavior? And you have to look at their gender, their learning styles, the motivation for change, the cultural differences, ethnicity, and things of that nature. So, do everyone feel that they can? I'm asking again. Or is there any other questions you may have regarding the video, the reading assignment, or the treatment plan?
I don't have any questions.
Is there anything that you would like to know that I didn't tell you that you think may be beneficial? Well, I'd like to thank you. Okay. I'd like to thank you all so very much for taking the time from your busy day to help me with this project. Y'all have a blessed evening.
You do
Yes,
the
ma'am.
same. Thank
You
you.
too.
Everyone have a good night.
Thank
You
you.
too.
You too.
All right.
Yes.
All right, ladies. You all have a blessed evening.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you too.
Okay.